So we got a pretty big trade proposal here for the Chicago Bears that ESPN just put out in a recent article. I want to talk about it with you guys. What is going on, y'all? Fox Sports all back at it with another video talking, of course, NFL here to talk about the Chicago Bears. If you're a Bears fan, guys, please do hit that subscribe button down below. It does help me out a lot when you guys subscribe to the channel. I'm on the road to 30K subs, so again, would really appreciate it if you guys supported me on that journey. All right, real quick, shout out to the sponsor of today's video, ProfitX. ProfitX is America's #1 sports prediction market where users play against each other instead of the books. And because of that, you will almost always get the best odds on any player props, spreads, money lines, and totals because you are playing against each other, your peers, instead of the books. And right now, guys, if you use my promo code FST, you can claim up to $200 in profit cash on your first 30 days playing on the site. Terms and conditions apply. Win real money predicting sports. All right, here we go. So this is coming from an article from ESPN. I believe this is Bill Barnwell, writer for ESPN. 2025 NFL trade deadline proposing 13 offers that make sense. All right. And he had an offer here for the Chicago Bears to acquire an edge, a pass rusher, in exchange for an offensive lineman. So here we go. This is the trade proposal here. The Raiders get offensive tackle Braxton Jones in exchange for edge Tyree Wilson. So I'm going to read you guys here what Bill wrote, and then we're going to go ahead and discuss here. So let's make bets on two frustrating players. Jones entered the season with a potentially massive contract riding on his performance at left tackle for the Bears, but the Ben Johnson regime quickly soured on the player it inherited on Caleb Williams' blindside. Jones split time in practice at left tackle during preseason. Though he was the week 1 starter, Jones didn't last long in the lineup. He was pulled in the first half against the Raiders in week 4 and didn't play a single offensive snap against the Commanders on Sunday night. Even mediocre young left tackles can be valuable, as Dan Moore Jr.'s free agent contract showed, but Jones' future is likely elsewhere. The Bears will go with Theo Benedek as their left tackle for now, and second-round pick Ozzie Trapilo is entrenched as Chicago's swing tackle and the next man up. Tackle depth is always nice to have, but the Bears could use help elsewhere. Jones would step in at left tackle on an emergency basis for the Raiders, who are going to be without Colton Miller for an extended period of time after he suffered a serious ankle injury in that loss to the Bears. Stone Forsythe has been at left tackle and allowed sacks and quit pressures in each of his first 2 games. He's not a viable solution. The Raiders have another option in third-rounder Charles Grant, but he's more of a developmental player and hasn't played a single offensive snap so far in 2025. It's unclear if the Raiders can or will actually trust him to protect Geno Smith, who needs more help up front. Even a below-average left tackle like Jones would be a massive upgrade on what the Raiders are likely to run out over the next couple of months, and they could potentially land a compensatory pick if Jones leaves after the season. Adding what might be essentially a short-term tackle could seem odd for a team out of playoff contention in the AFC, but the Raiders just need to be able to reliably run their offense right now. Las Vegas would simultaneously move on from another one of their former disappointing first-round picks in Wilson, who simply hasn't developed into a starting caliber player since being drafted with the 7th pick in 2023. Even after Malcolm Consey missed all of the 2024 season with an ACL tear, the Antonio Pierce regime was willing to use Wilson on only 50% of the defensive snaps a year ago. Pete Carroll has him at 42% so far this season, with Wilson racking up 2 sacks and 3 quarterback knockdowns in 6 games. With their pass rush managing just 7 sacks through 5 games, the Bears need to add more help. Their expensively assembled edge rush duo of Montez Sweat and Dio Adegbo has more roughing the passer penalties 2 than sacks 1 this season while playing starters' workload. Adding Wilson would take a swing on a dynamic prospect who just turned 25 in May. At the very least, Wilson might reduce the workload of the starters, helping keep them fresh for passing downs. He's owed $4.2 million in guaranteed money next year and has a potential 5th-year option available in 2027, though it would take a dramatic turnaround for the Bears to pick up that year given Wilson's existing form. All right, there was a lot there. Very well written here by Bill Barnwell as far as the details and the explanation behind it. So let's talk about this. All right, Tyree Wilson. Maybe a lot of Bears fans don't know about him, but as Bill Barnwell mentioned, he is a former 2023 7th overall draft pick who has not lived up to the hype. So he has been a disappointing top 10 pick for the Raiders. And look, Bill Barnwell just explained it. I don't have to repeat everything, right? He's basically saying, hey, they lost their left tackle, so they need one, right? They had Colton Miller, they lost him, and Braxton Jones would fit into that. The Bears need pass rush help, which I agree with, and so Tyree Wilson would help there. So would I do it if I was the Bears? And to me, it depends, and here's why I say that. So I do feel like the fact that Braxton Jones is on an expiring deal, and we just drafted Ozzie Trapilo, makes Jones much more expendable, because it's like, hey, do you want to just let Jones walk when you could potentially get a player for him? But then I look at it and say, okay, Tyree Wilson, is he worth it? Because, again, a disappointing pick. If you ask Raiders fans, he's been a bust so far, from what they expected of him. And so you're taking a look at a guy who's a backup. Again, Braxton Jones is a backup now as well, but he has started a lot of football games in his career. And is it a fair one-for-one swap? And that's where I'm saying, like, okay, if Ryan Poles and, more importantly, Ben Johnson say, look, I'm not going to use Braxton at all anymore. I mean, knock on wood, Theo doesn't get hurt, and then Ozzie is obviously able to hold up here as well, and he doesn't get hurt. We won't need Braxton, and I need pass rush help. Well, Tyree Wilson's a guy who, again, has not lived up to the hype, but sometimes all guys need is a change of scenario here to be able to get their best self going. And what if in Chicago, he is able to come in here and contribute, right? Under good coaching with Dennis Allen. And again, he's got talent, just 25 years old. There is still untapped potential there. We're not talking about a 30-plus-year-old pass rusher that we just know who he is at this point. So you're basically getting a potential, high upside guy for a guy in Braxton Jones that we know what Braxton Jones is at this point. And again, he's an expiring deal, so he's not going to be here after the season. So I do think that this would be a calculated trade that could potentially make sense. But obviously, it would take buy-in from Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles to move forward with it. I do think if they feel like, hey, we need pass rush help, and obviously it's hard to find good pass rushers in this league, then I wouldn't mind making this trade. The only scary part is, obviously, offensive line. You can never have enough of them. And, guys going down with injury just scares you. Now, like I mentioned, you have Ozzie. If Theo somehow, knock on wood, goes down, he's your swing tackle. But you still want to have that insurance, right? Because it's like, what if Darnell goes down? Again, knock on wood. It's like, so it definitely is something to think a lot about. And that's where I'm like, okay, you know what? This is where I would be at. Let's let a couple of more games play out here. We don't have to worry about the trade deadline until November. And let's see how bad the pass rush is. I mean, that was a pathetic stat here for the Bears pass rushers. Montez Sweat and David Degbo have more roughing the passer penalties, 2, than sacks, 1. Like, if that type of production or lack thereof continues for these guys for the next couple of games, okay, yeah, I'm bringing in pass rush help, because that's pathetic. So to me, again, this is not about the future or giving up any assets here, because Braxton's going to be not here after the season, and you could potentially get a guy who's young, 25 years old, untapped potential there, could still turn into something. So I would certainly consider this if I was the Chicago Bears, and it's definitely something that I'd wait a few games for, see how the pass rush is looking, and then if not, potentially look to, make this move. So let me know what you guys think about this. I think it's a fair proposal brought up by Bill Barnwell of ESPN. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Sound off down below in the comments, and let me know, would you make this trade if you're the Chicago Bears or not? Reply with a yes or no as always. Thanks for watching.